In this video, I'm going to be going over the 5 main types of blood vessels that you encounter in the cardiovascular system: arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins. As you're leaving the heart, the first thing that you encounter are the arteries. So, say the aorta, which is the biggest blood vessel in the body, and the main artery that blood is going to be flowing through as soon as it leaves the heart. Arteries are classified as any blood vessel that is taking blood away from the heart. So, anytime the blood's moving away from the heart, that's going to be an artery. As the arteries move further and further from the heart, they're going to diverge into smaller arterioles, which have slightly different anatomies. Arteries are very thick. They have strong muscular walls, but they also have a lot of elastic tissue in them. The arterioles, on the other hand, have less elastic tissue, but more of that smooth muscle tissue, and that allows them to contract and then also dilate to help regulate blood pressure. So the arterioles are important in blood pressure regulation. So again, as the arteries move from the heart, they diverge into smaller and smaller arteries and eventually into these very small arterioles. As the arterioles start to diverge and get smaller and smaller, they enter an area called the capillary bed, full of capillaries. Capillaries are the smallest of the blood vessels. They have extremely thin walls, only 1 cell thick. And due to that wall being so thin, it allows things like nutrients, oxygen, other substances to be able to pass through the walls very, very easily. So capillaries is a site of gas exchange and also nutrient and waste exchange between your blood and all of your living cells. So every cell needs to be close to a capillary. So the capillaries, again, is the site where body cells are going to be bringing in oxygen, and they're going to be unloading waste products like carbon dioxide. That is going to make this blood what some people would call dirty blood. That's an actual term that you'll hear used. And that dirty blood is then going to need to return back to the lungs in order to be cleansed. So what's going to happen next is you're going to see this network of capillaries start to converge again. So just like how the arterioles diverged, they got smaller and more frequent, the capillaries are going to converge. They're going to become less frequent but larger. And eventually you'll end up with this structure called a venule. Venules are very small blood vessels that carry blood towards the heart. So it's going to be moving it away from the capillaries towards the heart. Just follow the arrow along here. Venules and veins, which is what the venules are going to eventually converge into, contain these small valves inside of them. They're a bicuspid valve, meaning that they have 2 cusps, 2 flaps that open and close, and they prevent blood from backing up and going in the wrong direction. This is important, especially in the legs, because you got to think that in your legs, blood is trying to fight gravity to make it back up to your heart. So these valves prevent blood from backing up and falling back down towards your feet, especially if you're standing up and we're talking about the veins in your legs. If those valves fail, these one-way valves, if they fail, then you can end up with blood pooling in your veins and stretching the walls and forming what's called a varicose vein. So those valves end up being very important in preventing that blood from backing up back into the capillary beds. So, to recap, your arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins are all connected together. The capillaries bridge the gap between all of the other blood vessels. Arteries are going to be any blood vessel that is pulling blood away from the heart. Veins are going to be any blood vessel that's bringing blood back to the heart. And they have smaller subunits, venules and arterioles, respectively, which lead in towards the capillaries.